episode 2 of In Deep with Dan. Yep, it's happened. A second episode, who'da thunk. This is my show where I talk to friends old and new, old and young, old and borrowed, blue maybe, or even not old at all. I'm making it sound like it's where I talk to rummage sale items. Hello, old tennis racket. Hi there, old crappy-looking tea set. What's up, barely functional stationary bike? This week's guest is no discarded twin mattress set. Her name is Kristi. Not my wife, Kristi, but another Kristi. One with only one vowel at the end of her name. It would make it hard to tell them apart, I suppose, in the dark, poking around looking for that vowel indicator. Is it one? Is it two? Luckily, that hasn't come up. Before we get to this week's talk, a couple of notes here. Somewhere in this talk, politics are discussed. I'm not going to lie. This is a show where people can talk about whatever they want to talk about. I'm not going to shut that down. I'll edit it, and I did in this episode in the interest of controlling the show's length. But my role here is really not so much to dictate the conversation topics as to roll with them and participate in the conversation my guests want to have. I think I did that here. It's a conversation. When you talk to your friends, you might talk about anything. That's what this is. Kristi, the one with one vowel at the end, wanted to talk about it, so we did. Look, I considered inserting a warning just prior to the political discussion when that comes up, into the audio. Because, frankly, I became paranoid because a listener who posted on our Facebook page said he was waved off 2 minutes into the last episode when politics were brought up. And politics aren't his bag, and I get that. It was around 2 minutes in the last episode where I mentioned that politics were different than a discussion about hypocrisy or logic, or I think it was in that clickbait segment, or a preface to the clickbait segment, whatever. It got inside my head, and I thought, I've got to cater to everyone so as not to potentially offend someone. Well, that's not what this show is about either. This show is not about offending anyone, but it's also not about coddling anyone. So listen to the show, don't listen to the show. I appreciate if you do listen to the show, but it's the show, so that's what it is. All right? Anyway, look, I'm not Rachel Maddow. I'm not Sean Hannity. I'm just a guy talking to people. So if they talk about things, that's fine. I avoid politics. I don't want to make it a political show. I said that last week. But if it comes up from time to time, I will talk about it. By the way, I don't think there's a single mention of politics in next week's show. I've begun editing that. So there's that. Hey, I'd love to talk to someone who feels differently about anything. Please contact the show. I refuse to be hypocritical and unwilling to converse with people with whom some of my guests disagree or with whom I myself disagree. I've had great conversations in coffee shops or stores or just out in the world with other-minded people. I consider anyone who takes a fuck you stand to be just as wrong as their own opponents to take no compromise stands. So let's talk. Get rid of the hypocrisy, the BS. Let's just talk. Okay, so the morning rant out of my way. Fall is here. Pretty cool. The leaves are falling. The air is crisp. The windows are open at night. Sleep is like that deep, orange, almost pink visceral depth that tastes like a beer bottle plucked from the bottom of an icy cooler that you forget you're holding in your hand, which makes you forget you even have a hand. That's what sleep is. Of course, I didn't sleep all that well last night. Charlie, our rescue teddy bear, decided to erupt, barking in the wee hours. A car must have had the audacity to drive past our window, and they were bastards. What else? Yesterday, I spent a few hours working on this episode at Collectivo Cafe in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, while my wife studied. They are no sponsor of the show, but I just thought I'd mention it because it's a cool place. The coffee and ambiance all exuded fun. She and I got along great, which we usually do, but, it's a bonus. Eventually, we had a nice hipster breakfast of scrambled eggs, black beans, brown rice. Thing probably had a name. I don't know. Maybe there's some kale in there. It was spicy. I like spicy. It was good. I usually don't eat at coffee shops. I'm a coffee guy. I'm glad I did, though, because after 2 cups of coffee, we were both vibrating, as my wife described it. She had a pulse in her leg that was in sync with the PA music. We were plugged in, man. If you like the show, please give it a positive review in iTunes, Apple Podcasts, wherever. Look, I know it's easy just to consume podcasts and not interact with them, even from the review side of things. Just know I'm not asking for your money. Every positive review helps raise the show in search results. Helping others find it, I want people to listen. Thanks in advance for that. And I want to talk with you. Reach out to me via indeepwithdan.com or via the contact form found on indeepwithdan.com. If you want to be on a podcast and be able to tell your friends, hey, I'm on a podcast, this is your chance. Someone asked me this past week where I got the idea for the show. It arose out of a fun little interactive text segment I used to do on Facebook and Google Plus called Let Dan Tell You How to Live Your Life While He Drinks Wine. While this show it hasn't really been that, at least yet, the conversations I've had have been a blast. I can't really maintain the know-it-all persona necessary in that text chat in real one-on-one talks. That was a comedic persona. You know, the show is far more equitable than that, so I didn't name the show that. Plus, that would have been one long-ass name for a podcast. So, that said, let's go deep with Kristi and see what's up with her. She describes herself as, quote, local dumbass, end quote, or the Onion's area woman, which I suppose means as in area woman does a thing while she watches a thing, or area woman verb, then verbs, I guess. I think that's a fitting description of Kristi with one vowel at the end of her name. Here's the talk. Oh, look at this little bud. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Are you going to bump me?
Yeah, I didn't mean to, but I could.
It'd be awesome.
I can.
Every so often.
Yeah, it is cool.
Law and Order. Dun dun.
Ooh. Yes. All right. So, hi.
Are we on now?
Yeah. Well, we can be. I'll edit it all. So either on or
all right. Maybe you should give me like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or a...
No, it's just always on. That's what editing is always about.
Okay.
Yeah. So you signed up. What's on your mind? You want to talk some stuff?
I don't know. I was hoping that you would tell me what we're going to talk about. I'm not sure. I just thought that you said you're a guy who said people can come talk to me.
Sure.
That's a guy. Guys don't do that. What do you got going on, Dan?
Well, they're missing out. They're just missing out on the conversation.
I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, you're very interesting. So, you mentioned. May I mention the festival that you spoke of?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so the Good Neighbor Festival in Middleton, Wisconsin, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what are you, the president of that? The Grand Poobah?
You get to be the Grand Poobah for 1 year and 1 year only.
Ooh.
So my term was December till December. So I still am, but they are going to yank that crown off of my head in a couple of months.
Wow.
I know.
Now, do you bestow the crown upon someone else? Is there a changing of the crown?
There should be. Don't you think?
Yeah, because otherwise it's just an arbitrary date.
I know. No,
it's like,
just
what
meeting.
do you do? Like, you don't even get an email.
Yeah, no, it's just...
Oh, there's an email.
Yeah. No. What we do is we have a big group of trustees, and then whoever misses a meeting gets kind of pushed up into the rotation. So you go vice president, president-elect, president, past president, and then you're done.
Ah, okay.
I know.
Nice.
Did you come this year?
I did. I haven't been there in 15 years, maybe.
What?
Easy.
What? Why?
Yeah, I don't live there.
We have to do marketing. Why?
Well, why is a good question. Why would I go? There might be good reasons. I just don't know. Sell that, Kristi. Sell that festival.
No, don't make me do it.
And here's what you're going to have to overcome.
Tired. I'm too tired from the festival being last weekend to try to sell it to someone.
Well, my last experience there that I remember was in 7th grade, and I was going down the slide at the neighboring Fireman's Park.
Yeah.
And it's an old aluminum, steel, whatever it was. I guess steel at the time.
Yep.
Maybe copper, bronze. It was a long time ago.
Back in the Bronze Age when we were in high school.
Yeah, exactly. No, this was 7th grade, and I hooked my thumb in a sharp point, and my body kept going, and I broke my thumb. And so that's the terror and distress that I have in my mind when I think about the Middleton Good Neighbor Festival.
I don't have
it's your job to get me out of that.
No, I don't have the marketing skills to overcome that. I don't. All I can say is, well, we have a couple of beer tents. A bunch of our high school buddies go there.
Yep, you got me. No, you got me at beer tent.
I know.
Yeah. What kind of beer?
Oh my goodness.
Capital?
We do. One of our tents is Capital Beer, and then the other one is whatever Frank Beer has on tap. So I think we do cans of like Coors Light and Bud Light, maybe. Is that terrible?
Frank Beer? Yep. Is that a person or a business?
Frank Beer is in Middleton. It's been there forever.
Is it a liquor store?
Distributor. So
honestly, I don't.
Yeah. So no, it's the distributor. So whatever packages they carry, they send over to the VFW, and those are the guys who've been doing it forever, like back in the day.
Gotcha. Well, good. It sounds like a good time. I saw our buddy Fred.
I saw that, you guys,
a couple weekends ago.
No, like last week, and I can't remember what I was doing, but I was so mad because you were about 2 blocks from my house. The two of Utes.
Yeah. Well, we would have been closer, but they do not allow civilian GPS to function that accurately. And I learned that from Fred, as his former military. Not that he was telling me anything that you can't find on WikiLeaks. I mean, on the internet.
Fred's a good guy.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was fun. So you seem, is politically active the right word, or engaged? You seem engaged.
Engaged.
In the world around you.
Maybe angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay to be angry.
Think so?
We need that. And not that you're asking my permission. I'm just saying I applaud your anger.
Oh,
you don't seem to use it for evil.
I don't know. I watched a documentary about Fred Rogers about 2 weeks ago on Netflix.
Netflix, right?
And it was an older one. It's not like whatever's coming out now. I kind of got tricked into watching this one that was made in 2012. But he
kind of like when you watch like Thor, and it's like, made by like the Catholic Church, and you're like, how did this happen? I thought I was watching a Marvel movie.
Right. Or sometimes porn. Well, you'll think, oh my goodness, this is not.
It's like, I meant to watch it. I meant to watch a different porn.
Or, yeah, exactly. So anyway, oh God, we just tied Mr. Rogers into porn. It was horrible. But anyway.
Well, you knew it was just a matter of time.
I know. So 2012, this guy that had a summer place next to Mr. Rogers out on, I don't know, somewhere in Massachusetts, Long Island, Sagatuck, something. But he met him and interviewed him, and the takeaway for me was Mr. Rogers had been bullied as a kid because apparently he was kind of fat, and kids would chase him home, and he spent his life, his credo was, don't demean. Like, just don't demean somebody. And I was like, okay, I'm going for that. And then I'm like, every day I'm on Facebook looking at people, and I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
You kind of, you really can't walk around the world like thinking those thoughts. But I'm holding it in my back pocket. I'm gonna get to Mr. Rogers' level.
Yeah, I think if the impulse is to be a troll, and it's not even a natural impulse, I think it is imposed upon us because we are all chameleons and we look around at what other people are doing, and hey, I want to be a chameleon too. I want to fit in, and if everybody's piling on, I guess that's the nature of group bullying. So
yeah.
that's certainly what Twitter has become. Facebook became that. I got off of it from March to, what was it, the end of July?
I know. I want to know about that.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like I went on a sabbatical into the wilderness of just like real life. I discovered there are 3 dimensions. That was kind of cool. And I could interact with objects in my surrounding environment. So that was neat.
So what was the thing that knocked you over the edge? Like when did you go, all right, I've had enough. I'm going into rehab. This is it.
It was probably, well, it was the return on investment. So I was thinking, am I getting out of this equal or more than what I'm putting into it? And when the answer was no, it just became kind of grueling. Then I got off of it, and that was great. But I had the benefit of my wife or my kids being able to say, hey, there's something happening somewhere in real life that I heard about on Facebook. And I said, oh, that's fine. But then it turned out I was actually missing things that, people might organize some, I don't want to say party, but some reunion or some event of some kind. And I just wouldn't know about it. So it's kind of a necessary evil. But I thought, well, this time maybe I can do things differently and kind of not engage the crazy so much.
So you have a little FOMO, but not too much FOMO.
FOMO? What's that?
Fear of missing out. You have a little bit of it.
Oh, look at you all acronymed up.
I know.
That's awesome.
We have kids in high school,
that's
right?
A. Oh, wait, I can't do really a 1-letter acronym. What was that last? I'm sorry, I was talking over you. I didn't quite hear.
No, it's like our kids are that age. So, but for them, we'd just be, still watching the evening news.
Wow. Reading the Sunday paper.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Clipping the coupons.
Aldi's has a great price for bags of almonds. Just they're not supporting this podcast, but I just thought I'd put that out there.
Aldi is an awesome place.
No coupon needed.
I know. Aldi's like the generic Trader Joe's.
Yeah. I was absorbing that. I think you're right.
No, because apparently I always say that, and people get mad. But Trader Joe's and Aldi used to they were German brothers who got mad at each other. So then they've split up. But pretty much the business plan is the same. But Aldi is a secret, and Trader Joe's is Trader Joe's. So Aldi has good parking lots. Trader Joe's does not. That's the difference. Oh, and you have to pay 25 cents. You have to deposit 25 cents for your cart at Aldi, where Trader Joe's will let you leave it in their bad parking lots.
Oh, that's I know. I can see why the brothers feuded. That's those are some details I don't think I could let go of. If I were a total 25-cent deposit guy, I'd be like, I'm never talking to you again. By the way, I do have a brother who I haven't seen since my wedding day in 1994, and he lives in Madison.
I heard about that last weekend.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to your brother, Bill.
It's nice of you to do that. A lot of people don't.
Talk to Bill?
Yeah. No, when I went with Fred, though, he to Middleton, to meet him in Middleton, everywhere we went, somebody knew Fred. Hey, Fred. And who's this? Oh, this is my friend Dan. Oh, hi. And I said, oh, my brother is Bill. They're like, oh my God. So everybody knew him as well, which is known. It's kind of cool. Because I don't have, where I live now, I don't have.
Family. We have 20 people. Now, what did Bill tell me? You have 7 kids in your family?
Yep, that's right.
See, look at me.
Yeah. So how did you see him?
He was working at Good Neighbor Festival.
He was working there. Was he dancing? Yeah. He used to dance there, didn't he? In the dark tent.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm taking notes because I'm also entertainment chairman. So next year, Bill. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Bill dances. His favorite jams are Motley Crue and anything with the word sugar in it.
Okay. No, he's an optimist, and I actually happen to be an optimist too, which is weird. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that they would take me because apparently you need to be sort of optimistic to be one of them. And I haven't seen him in a meeting, but
yeah. Well, I think that's Kristi. The good. That's the good in Good Neighbor.
The optimist part?
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's a subset of good is optimistic.
Right.
Maybe not, though. We could
I
go
know.
in deep on the meaning of good.
I'm going to tell you, I don't even remember how, because, okay, so here's like with Good Neighbor Festival, you have to be a member of a charitable organization in the city. So we have Lions, Kiwanis, Optimist, and so on. And every time I list them, I forget one, and I'm sure I'm going to make people mad. But I can't remember how I decided to become an optimist this year because I'm already a member of the chamber, and that's how I'm on the board of Good Neighbor Festival. But
Oh, okay.
it turns out they have breakfast every Wednesday morning at Sofra. Hello? Like, that's all it takes for me to join is give you some money and then go to breakfast every Wednesday morning. I am in. So now
Wow.
I'm an optimist, but so is Bill. So,
I
but
did not
he
know that.
doesn't, I know, he doesn't come to the meetings because he works at 7 o'clock in the morning. But he came and
Sure.
volunteered. So that's how I saw him.
That's cool. Yeah, I know very little
I know.
about him. Yeah, I mean,
Brother Bill?
it's usually, yeah, not too much. We're not that close.
He said you had a black sheep brother. He
Yeah,
didn't say
that's
it
the
was
one
you.
that's the one I haven't seen since for the past 24 years.
How'd
Yeah.
that go?
Well, he came to the wedding ceremony and then he didn't come to the
Your
reception. So
wedding
there was
ceremony.
my wedding ceremony, yeah. And then it was at a church on Hubbard Avenue that right after we got married, they tore it down,
St.
which was
Luke's?
fine for me. And no,
Yeah.
isn't that
Once you got married there, they were
one of
like,
Yep, that was it. They're like, oh, it's stinky in here now. Yeah, and then he didn't come to the reception, and there was a big blank spot at the table. And then I think Bill saw him 6 months or a year later and said, "Hey, John, well, what's going on?" And he said, "I don't want to talk to you or anybody in the family." So that was it. I don't know. I do not know what triggered him, but and then I called him a couple times over the next decade. But there's and he never called back. But there's a point where you just give up flogging a dead black horse.
mm-hmm.
I mean, that sounded racist. It didn't mean to, but you said
Oh,
it was a black sheep, But
no,
when I turned it into
no,
a
I
horse,
don't
all of
think,
a sudden it was like nasty. I do
I don't think so.
apologize. Okay, all right.
Interesting though, really, like going back to when you were talking about Facebook and you went off of it, and people are always like, if you're on Facebook and you're looking at it, it's like it always looks like families are wonderful and everything's perfect, and here's grandma and grandpa. And I think, like, I have had so many conversations with my friends where I'm like, it's not working out for me like Facebook says it should. And they're like, maybe you should just stop looking at Facebook, which you did.
Yeah, and yeah, the reason wasn't envy or jealousy or anything like that. It wasn't. I got accused a lot at the time of it involving the like information breaches or the fake news, and I'm like, no, none of that. I get all of that. I actually understand that. I've worked in technology forever, so it's kind of my wheelhouse. But it was really more about it became more of like a frantic cocaine Pinterest more than what it had been before. Before, I thought it was
Oh,
people would post things, even if they were their own lies, which were more interesting than just, oh, here's a video that I got off of some site somewhere, whether it was fake news
yeah.
or not. I'm like, well, I could find that by myself. I don't need somebody to sort of randomly hand it to me. I don't know if it was egomania any more than just boredom with it, I guess. But I mean, it's okay to be back now. It's kind of fun. What I really liked was the whole, let Dan tell you how to live your life while he drinks wine shtick that I would do occasionally, and people would jump in on that and ask just silly questions, and I would be drinking wine or some other alcoholic beverage and commenting, which I'm not doing now. I do have a Crystal Light, but
I
there's
know. Are
nothing
you
in it.
supposed to solve like my life's problems? Because,
Hit me, do it up. Absolutely. What
ah,
I know nothing about you. I'm an impartial person. I don't even know if we said a sentence to each other in our youth. I have no recollection.
I know. I was going to say that. It's like, remember? Okay, how many high school reunions have you gone to?
I went to the club tavern. I didn't go to the official ceremony or whatever, the event, but I went to like a side party at the club tavern. I think it was at our 5-year. And
Yeah.
then I said, well, yeah, I guess I kind of already keep in touch with people I want to, and everybody else I don't really know or care to know, especially at that time. So that was the last one I ever went to.
I know. Well, I tried to go into my 15-year, and then my husband and I are the same age, and he grew up in West Salem. And there's like 90 kids in his graduating class.
And they're all witches.
And they're all witches, probably.
Did you say Salem?
Because, I mean, yeah, West Salem.
Yeah.
You might be onto something.
There.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
So it was like the year of our, I don't know, one of our reunions, and I said, "Are you guys having a reunion this year?" And like I just said it because I knew we were having one, and they're like, "Oh, I guess maybe we should." So they took like the 10 people that were interested in going and had like a dinner out at the bowling alley. And it turns out that year my cousin got married, so we missed mine and went to his of the 10 people that were there. So I really have never been to one either, other than the one year I went to like the Friday night thing before, and all I kept thinking was, "Are we friends?" Like I remember liking everybody, but I don't remember if they liked me. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's I'm not a nostalgic person by any means, so I don't know what the attraction is, other than seeing, how people have deteriorated, and if you've deteriorated faster than they have, or like, Jesus Christ, why didn't this person deteriorate? They deserved it. Not to be mean, I try to be optimistic about that. But yeah, I mean, on the upside is almost everyone I have seen again since that time has been super nice. I mean, even if they're batshit crazy politically or scientifically or religiously, but they're usually just darn nice, good neighbors. Hey, there we go.
Yeah, you brought it back around.
I think you're onto something for a marketing scheme. Good neighbors, even if they're batshit crazy.
No, honestly, I think if we were around 30 years ago and we were 50 years old then, we would just need to run into each other, right? But now we do have Facebook, and you can kind of look at people, and there are people that I liked in high school, but I really like now for their politics. And there are people that I'm like, oh my God, I could never have guessed that that's where you were coming from back in the day. You know what I mean? And there's a few that I've unfriended, but for the most part, I'm really enjoying like watching what people are saying and doing that I never, they were friends, but now I'm like, oh my God, why weren't we better friends? If I could like go back in time, we would be amazing friends.
Yeah,
and
but would you?
You couldn't do that without Facebook.
Yeah, no, very true. I mean, the upside to no social media, and not to mix my negatives and positives, but was back in the day that when people left your life, they were gone. Now the upside is they're not gone. So it's weird because that is the, they're like a ghost that refuses to pass into the light from one's own perspective. So if all of a sudden they flower, or they always have been, but now they're coming out of their shell and you can see what their opinions are and what they like to do, and all of that, it is pretty cool. I mean, it's almost like an Oliver Sacks Awakenings moment when you go, oh my God, I thought that person was just like vapid, and now they're like doing these amazing paintings. It turns out they're
not. Dan, that's what you're talking to me, right? You're like, oh my God, she was.
Oh shoot, yeah, I thought you were going to be next hour. Yeah, never mind. Forget everything I just said.
You're like, that Kristi was kind of vapid, but holy crap, I guess I'll talk to her.
Yeah, I thought this was all going to be about about clothes and stuff. I thought this was going to be, fashion hour and scrunchies.
Yeah. No, I was actually never good at any of that.
No, I don't know.
You? Were you good at scrunchies?
I was pretty good at scrunchies. I was actually better at the dangly earrings out of my left ear that hit my shoulder. It was more my scene back then. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's
Yep.
And we hit a wall.
I'm going to tell you a story. I know. I'm going to tell you a story about high school, though, since that's where we're going. My daughter, she just started her senior year today, and also at the same time sent us a text telling us that she was accepted at Iowa,
Oh, great.
which is, I know, ish. It's good. Her other schools were like University of Wisconsin at La Crosse, so I really did want her to go to D1. So it's Iowa.
Oh, okay.
We'll get there.
Sure. No hurry.
So I'm kind of excited. My husband graduated from Madison, so he's a little more working on it. But I forget where I was going. Now you have to edit.
That's okay. So believe me, I'll have to edit a lot. She's going to Iowa, and she posted on Facebook, I think you said, or you did, and there was some aspect of going to Iowa that, see, I don't really know the end of the sentence. I was trying to lead you along, Kristi.
I know. Anyway,
Brain fart.
I was trying to look at me. I was like bragging and not really. But anyway, let's.
Now, is that your youngest or your oldest?
My oldest.
Gotcha. Wow. Nice. Yeah, I have 2 in college and 1 in 7th grade.
And are you robbing banks yet?
This country is so good at providing free education for its youth that no one really has to worry about anything.
Right.
So, well, they're all working to a certain degree, with the exception of the 12-year-old who has dance.
Well, there apparently, there's woolen mills, aren't there? Aren't there bobbins to be changed with their little fingers?
I think so. You know what? If it's properly done, you can also, over time and with the proper discipline, train your toes to weave. So you have, 2 sets of little digits that can be, making the Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
And that's good. That woman made a fine standing mat that I used to use at my standing desk. So good for Martha and her workforce.
But she did spend 2 years in prison. Remember? Martha Stewart was in prison. Remember? Sure. We forget that.
Oh no, I remember.
But she went to jail for lying to the federal prosecutor.
But that's okay now. If only it had happened now. It's so legal to do that now.
Well, I think everyone should just. I think they should just. If you lie, there you go.
I think as long as everybody can just tweet something else the next day, then it's all okay. I want somebody who will be my apologist. Could you be my apologist? Like if I say something and then the next day people ask you, just say, he didn't mean that. What he meant was everything's cool. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have no idea how to do it myself, but I do know how to do research. So what I will do is go on Facebook and I will look at everything. Like I'll look at the whole Colin Kaepernick thread that came out today.
Sure.
Of all the people that hate him.
And I'm not talking about just, I guess I'm talking about the moral high road and the percentage of lies. You could go on and on. But again, once you get beyond one variable, then you lose people who are not interested in looking, at reflecting back on the choices they've made and maybe amending their decision based on new information.
Yeah. But we can't, I can't do that either, honestly, because I have to admit, I'm pretty entrenched in how I feel. Mm-hmm. I do try to look at other things, but sometimes it just, where do you go to find that? It's so disgusting. If you go to Fox News and you watch what they're saying, you can't even, I feel dirty when I turn the TV off. It's kind of terrible.
I wish I knew how to answer that because, I understand it. The good thing is it makes me reflect upon the news sources I use myself. And I go, okay, back in the day, these were considered news, these sites, the networks, whatever the profession of professional journalism and investigative journalism. Okay, but have I been seeing this all wrong? Now, everything that tells me, no, you haven't, because here's some facts that they actually spend time, corroborating things with or on. I have a bias,
but then you put it on the table of biases, and it's hard to reconcile because I am sure neither of us is correctly right all the way, or correct all the way. But I mean, aside from, I don't know how you beam back in time to even the early 80s or even the late 80s where people got along on both sides and played golf and had a good time and discussed things and called each other a dick, but then had a drink together. And that was, I don't know how you get back to that with the amount of hatred that we're being told we're supposed to have for everybody else.
Well, I will say this. I am offended by the whole idea of both siderism, where both sides did this. No, we got to this place in America thanks to the Republican Party, Karl Rove, can't think of the other guy's name, right? Lee Atwater, who basically started this, who started the partisan war. And if you saw Joe Biden's speech at John McCain's funeral, he said in 1996, John and I used to sit next to each other while people were arguing. And after that, it was Lee and it was Karl Rove and it was all like who was a minion of him. Going forward, everything that we are living through right now is the genesis of what those guys planted in our political system. And so we have people like Laura Ingraham saying, oh, back in the day, politics were decided in smoke-filled rooms where the two parties would come together, and that was evil. Really? Why was that evil? Because it wasn't transparent. That wasn't evil. It was them talking things out without their constituents having to know that they said, maybe I will give you X for Y. But now, instead of that, the Republican Party has drawn a line that says we cannot speak to the other party. We cannot deal with them. We cannot, there's no partisanship. And now we're trying to approve a Supreme Court justice with their rules while we're still, like, the Democrats are still working on the old rules. It's ridiculous.
Let's just say it's a toxic work environment. Yes to all of the above. I don't know, other than if anyone still with a voice of reason wants to get into politics, it's about the only way. Because I'm a sheep. We were talking about sheep earlier. I'm not a politician. I appreciate those who aren't fleeing in droves, but a lot of them are taking early retirement and just saying, you know what, I can't do this anymore. It used to be fun. I used to feel like I was getting something accomplished. And now it's just like a wee contest every day. And,
But we're supposed to look at Republicans' ads and say, oh, I cannot vote for Randy Bryce because he had a DUI 30 years ago.
Yeah.
What?
Now, of course, at the end of our session
yes, that's horrible.
But you realize you're bringing up an entirely different, fantastic line here of conversation about the lack of forgiveness and realization that people can change over the course of 30 years. And the fact that things aren't ever lost anymore. I mean, we have the luxury of 30 years ago, all of the stuff we did was not recorded. And it'll only get worse.
God,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Well, all right. Was this good for you? Was this okay? Did you have fun?
I think so.
Okay.
I did.
Well, we should do it again.
All right. Good luck with your podcast.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
You also have a very podcasty voice.
Ooh, it's hard for me to know because it's hard for me to hear myself. So thank you very much. I think.
No, you sound okay? Great.
Oh, all right. You too. I like that headset.
No.
You should use that for your Skyping. Or maybe you could sit in the booth at the Good Neighbor Festival and give commands over the big speakers on the telephone poles.
All right. You have to come next year or else.
All right. I'll come.
And Kristi.
Absolutely. Of course.
Whose name is spelled perfectly?
It has an E on the end. Yeah?
What? Oh. Well.
Yeah, her parents didn't know any better.
I know. You're lucky.
Thank you very much.
And that was our talk. A couple of clarifications about things that we said. Kristi thinks the founding of Aldi was by two German brothers who were feuding. So one went off to be Aldi and the other became Trader Joe's. In my mind, I'm not sure if I mentioned it at the time, I thought that was the story of Mills Fleet Farm versus Farm and Fleet in Wisconsin and Minnesota, but I don't think I mentioned that out loud. Anyway, Kristi was closer to the truth, except Aldi split off into Aldi Nord and Aldi Sud with a SUD and umlaut over the U, and both operate in both Europe and the US. I could find no reference that Trader Joe's was at all involved with Aldi, although a German company does own Trader Joe's as well. Yeah. And she mentioned that Kristi should also come with me to the Good Neighbor Festival next year. To clarify, my wife's name is also Kristi. As I mentioned in the intro, she has two vowels at the end of her name. And I'm guessing my guest, Kristi, likely threw that in to know that she was not inviting me to some illicit sexual encounter, or at least not an encounter that does not also involve my wife. Either way, message received and fully accepted. Oh yeah, some have asked if I perform the music in the show. Absolutely not. I can barely string 3 chords together on my guitar. The wizard behind the tunes is my friend Doug Mackey, provided free of charge because he's one of the coolest dudes I've ever known. Maybe he'll provide some links at some point that I could share in future show notes, and that would be awesome. And he might even be creating some new tunes specifically for the show, so look forward to that coming. I'd love to have him on as a guest as well. He's a very cool, interesting guy. Okay, that's the show for this week. Remember to drop me a message via the contact form at indeepwithdan.com or directly via email at indeepwithdan@gmail.com. indeepwithdan@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe in your podcast apps so new episodes arrive weekly, ready for your workout, your walk, your drive to and from work, your train ride, your plane ride, your tilt-a-whirl ride. Okay, maybe not that. Seems kind of excessive and a wasted effort to divide your concentration. Really, in that moment, you've got to concentrate on the tilt-a-whirl ride. That's where your focus should be. But all the other times, listen to the podcast. Riding your bike. No, don't do it when you're riding your bike. You need your concentration on the road. People can die by hitting a pebble, much less getting hit by a car. Okay? But aside from that, listen to the podcast. On your mattress ride. Is that a thing? I bet it's a thing. It should be a thing. Until next week, my deeplies. Can I call you that? Is that a thing now? Let me know via comments, via the Facebook page comments. Okay, go deep. See you next week.